Your love is bright as ever.
You know, you can talk about sort of BB before Beyoncé and AB after Beyoncé. All year we were kind of watching these little things like drib and drab out. Everyone was kind of saying, has Beyoncé lost the golden touch? Is she not a superstar anymore? And then this fully formed thing just arrived with a video for every track on iTunes at midnight. And the album is fantastic.
Baby, kiss me.
I think I just started tweeting about the songs as they went by. What surprised me most about that record is that her previous albums had felt very labored. Creating an album that was such a challenge to put together, she sounded loose. She sounded like she was having fun.
EXO was definitely chosen as the first single because it's a Ryan Tedder song, and it has that whole Ryan Tedder big charting pop song thing, that big chorus, that, you know, sing-along moment. And it's funny that in the video, which they filmed at Coney Island on the Cyclone, that's kind of how the song is. You're kind of going through a giant pop roller coaster that's like building you up and taking you back down and building you up.
She gave you a little bit of what you want from all of the parts of Beyoncé. You got the sexy Beyoncé, you got the super emotional, like family-oriented Beyoncé, you got the sort of just pared down Beyoncé and the Beach, then you got some Destiny's Child in there, which like everybody was so happy, I think, to see that. So yeah, I think it was a very well executed, like artistic move.
I've been drinking.
The year of the surfboard, that was a really sort of unlikely meme that took off from the Drunken Love video.
I want you.
Drunken Love was the song on the album that showcased Mr. Beyonce. And especially in the video, to get the dynamic of the two of them together. It was, you know, it's a phenomenal sounding track. Not an obvious one to be the song that would have the Jay-Z break on it. It had that weird sort of woozy thing going on, and once she put that surfboard in there, then everybody had something else to talk about.
I was not really aware of what surfboard is, and I don't know if I am totally aware now.
There's something about that song, and particularly its video, that's just really joyous. You can hear her laughing and you can hear her smiling as she's singing. And when she gets to surfboard and she's talking about being intimate with her husband, you can hear the way that she is really enjoying herself. I think there's something about that that people really admire.
I know when you were little girls, you dreamt of being in my world. Don't forget it, don't forget it. Respect that. Bow down, bitches.
When she came out, she gave a tease of Bow Down early in 2013, and she got a lot of it back down because basically she's saying bow down bees, calling women, and people are just like, why is Beyonce saying this about women? And then she took that and really flipped it to say, okay, this is what I mean. And throughout the year, it became Beyonce as the feminist.
I always consider myself a feminist, although I was always afraid of that word because people put so much on it, when honestly it's very simple. It's just, you know, a person that believes in equality for men and women. Men and women balance each other out, and we have to get to a point where we are comfortable with appreciating each other.
Ladies, tell them I woke up like this. I woke up like this. We flawless. Ladies, tell them say.
You know, I think I woke up like this is the best catchphrase feminism has had since the last great thing Gloria Steinem said. It's about ownership of being a woman. It says that you can wear hot pants, you can love makeup, you can dance sexy, and still consider yourself a really strong, independent person.
Feminist. A person who believes in the social, political, and economic equality of the sexes.
Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie is a Nigerian author who gave a TED Talk where she talked about feminism And that talk apparently spoke to Beyoncé, and she excerpted it at length on the song Flawless.
By taking that little bit of that speech, which is so powerful, but it's basic logic. It's not hard to follow. You don't need to know anything about feminism. Her album is not a feminist text. Her album is a pop record, you know, but she wants to have a little bit of that in it.
Addressing the fight in the elevator on the remix of Flawless was, God, I hate to call it a PR move, but yeah, why not address it? To allude to the power of her family and to what they can do. So, smart PR move, sure, but also I think that's just, there's an honesty to Beyoncé.
You can't put your finger on who I am. I can't put my finger on who I am. I am complicated. I grew up with a lot of conflict and traumas, and I've been through a lot, just like everyone else.
I think that Pretty Hurts is probably one of the, the album has no bad track. This might be one of the best. It's written by Sia, and it talks about, being comfortable in your own skin.
I thought Pretty Hurts, the video especially, it was a staggering statement. A very brave statement to make for someone who is so beautiful, and her acting in that video is actually fantastic. I showed it to my daughter right away. I don't want her to have any illusions about that life because she wants to be a singer. She wants to be Beyoncé, and it's just like, sweetheart.
It shows her in the video eating cotton balls to stay full because she's hungry, and weighing herself and working out and basically going through all the things that in Flawless she's saying hopefully you shouldn't have to do because you have a kind of self-love and self-acceptance.
Drop her all at the partition, please. I don't need you seeing Beyoncé on her knees. Took 45 minutes to get all dressed up. We ain't even gonna make it to this club.
I think Partition was maybe an interesting thing for people to hear because they know who she's married to, and he's a very public person. And whenever a pop star writes about something, people consider it as fact. They think that this is now public information about them. And I think that was the case with Partition. People thought, oh man, this must be what Jay-Z and Beyonce's sex life is like.
This album just took Beyoncé to a new sexual level. We're used to Beyoncé being this sexy but good girl, and she almost veered into Rihanna territory with this. So on this album, when she's talking about her having sex in the car with her husband, and Monica Lewinsky on my gown, it's just sort of like, whoa.
I think it was controversial, but for a point. And the point is that, women are sexual beings, and women are allowed to be sexual because sex is a part of life, and sex can be empowering, and sex can be beautiful, and sex can be complicated and lovely, and if she wants to sing about it, she, as a woman, as a human being who has sex, as we know, can put that in a song. If guys can sing about it, so can she.
The 7-Eleven video is Beyoncé hanging out in a penthouse suite or in a hotel room. It was done on tour, and it's basically just like her having the best time that she can have on the road.
This was a Beyoncé tour. Even though Jay-Z had co-billing, it was basically a Beyoncé tour. To be honest, even on Jay-Z's tours, even though they're his tours, there's always the expectation there or the hope that Beyoncé might come out. Jay-Z talks about her being the Michael Jackson of our time, and Jay-Z bows to her in that way.
Beyonce is kind of the closest thing we have to a iconic once-in-a-generation star. She's like the throwback entertainer, She can act, she can sing, she can dance, and with this album, it's kind of the culmination of everything that she has to offer
I think Beyoncé stands a really good chance of coming out on top with the album of the year. It's an album that's sort of a consensus record that everyone seems to love. Not only does everyone love it, it performed really well. It was one of the biggest selling albums of the year. And I think the music industry in general, whose members, largely make up the Recording Academy, live in sort of fear and awe of Beyoncé at this point and the way that she's been able to influence and change the culture and change the direction of the music industry.
I'm so fresh, fresher than you. I'm fresher than you. Fresher than you. Oh.